Webcast. My name is Eric Arneson. I'm with Methods in WSDOT. Today we're going to be going over the Civil 3D knowledge base. We went to production with at the end of January this year. I'm going to be covering most of that. Keith, also from Methods, has some updates and items he wants to cover with you. Today we're broadcasting live, and we've got a chat room start up. Matt's manning it for me, so if any of the offices or if anybody's got any questions, if something he can answer, he'll just go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we'll stack up the juicy ones for the end of it. So with that, I'll get started. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so WSDOT has been providing training for its design software, planned production software, for many years. And so for us, this is kind of just the latest iteration, if you will, in doing that. So back when I was doing like support desk, I would have some really hard question come across, and I'd type up the perfect email with screenshots and make it absolutely perfect and send it to that person, and I'd say, gosh, I wish I could get that out to everybody. That's basically where we're at. We've got a lot of content that we put out because a lot of times when you go to general training, that's what it is. It's general training. We took it when we started out, and after about a week or two of Civil 3D training, I knew where the buttons were, and I knew what the buttons did, but I didn't know how to put the buttons together. So that's what we're trying to do for the people that work on our projects, is to put all the standards in place so that you don't have to mess with styles and settings and all that stuff, and put all the training in place so that once you've gone through that training, you have actually done some work like we do on our projects. So the site that we've got up and going right now, although last time I looked, it was down for the day, because that's what happens when you schedule a presentation on something that's going to crash on you. But we're calling it the Civil 3D Knowledge Base, or C3DKB for short. If you Google that, we'll be right at the top of the list. Otherwise, we've got the website up for you right there. What is all of this stuff? So in our world, we've got kind of two places to put stuff, and that is in the FDM, Facilities Development Manual, which is supposed to be all of our standards and stuff, and somewhere else. Well, the somewhere else has changed over the years, but this is where it is now. So any training items, any tips and tricks items, anything that is not standards-based and information we want to get out to our end users, that's what we have here. So the last iteration of this, we had some new user training PDFs that were focused at new user training. So somebody that hasn't touched Civil 3D before, and they're a startup designer, or they're starting up in planned production. That's a big chunk of it. And we started adding these PDFs of, oh, this is new stuff for 14 or 16, or, oh, this is a really awesome little thing, but it's not new user. It's like, you know, you got to be about 2 years in to really get this. We've got all kinds of advanced topics in there, and our support and documentation topics. So like, you know, how do line types really work on our projects? Or how do you do, you know, what are these system variables doing to me that we see in support again and again, and we want to get out information to everybody. So basically everything that we've got for training or documentation, this is where it's going to be. This is the first time we've got something that is web native. It's mobile first. It's open and public and free. So the way that I usually talk about this is anybody under the age of 25 at least, I say, if you don't know how to do something, what do you do? And most people say, well, look it up on YouTube, because somebody put a video out there and spent, you know, 4 hours of their afternoon putting something together for any 5-minute or 6-minute thing. We're trying to have everything in one place here. except the weird stuff is there's no ads, there's no auto roll videos of kittens or, you know, goofy stuff. It's all just pure content. Everybody can get to it. It's web native, so the PDFs are still there for people who want to print it out, and especially with the new user training, I totally get that people want to be able to take their notes and go through a big chunk of material. But you know, if you're just looking something up, you're 3 or 4 years in, and you're like, oh man, I've got a project now that's got crossovers on it or curb ramps. I wonder if they've got something on there. You can look up just that topic, get the information you need, and roll it into the project that you're working on. It's also, like I said, it's where we've got all of our training. Right now, we don't have training courses in person set up internally or externally, just because we've been focused on getting the material together. When you start up a project, we want to give you the best workflow for getting through any piece of it. I'm going to kick over to the website, which right now, hey, it's back online. Awesome. So for those of you that might have been jumping into it this morning, it was down. We appeared to be back up. I'm just going to shrink it down to show you what it's going to look like on your phone. You'll get the kind of collapse up, and then that menu that was up at the top here for the navigation is over on the sidebar here. A couple of things right off the bat. Search bar is going to be on every page that you've got, and there's going to be a feedback button on every page too. Right now I'm going to expand back up and go right to the basics area. So things are a little hinky. I got to clean up my double feedback button here, but I'm going to start off with the in the getting started area here. If you'll notice, most of the pages are going to have these green headers with a little click arrow. Any one of those that you click will expand out for you. This is focused at being mobile first, so that if you got it open on your phone, you just got 5 or 6 stacks that you can expand rather than scroll, 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 scroll. However, if you are on a full computer and you do want to do scroll, 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 the little kind of expand all button next to our print button over here will expand everything all at once. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so that the people in the room can actually read what I've got going on here. Every topic is going to have a last updated date on it so that you will know how old this is. If something's from 2012 and you know stuff's been changed, probably not worth going after. This is one of the problems with any training material. You know, we're always playing catch up with the development team in any piece of software, but at least you'll know whether it's really current info or it's a little bit dated. Obviously, the content that we have here is focused at doing the WIS.dot work. So we're using all of our customizations. The data sets that we provide are structured the way that we would do a project. Having said that, there's lots of good information that anybody can get out of this thing, especially with our workflows and the steps that we take. Obviously, we think it's the best way because it's the way we're showing you, but it's I've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of people outside of WIS.dot that use our system for basic training as well. In addition to focusing on the work that we do at WIS.dot and how we do it, there's a couple of driving factors that we use to try and update our material with. One is live connections. Civil 3D can be awesome at keeping live connections up and running, so not duplicating data, not having 5 or 6 copies of your mainline alignment all over the place. Seems like a good idea, it's quick and dirty, but a lot of times it will kill you come the end of a project. So there's a lot of nuances to doing it the right way in Civil 3D. We try and step you through that and explain how to keep those live connections going and minimizing the potential for duplicating data or making copies of information. Another best practice that we have driving it is managing data edits. If all we were ever doing was designing one project one time, I'd give you a pile of paper and a pencil and you could go do that. But the reason why you use digital at all is so that you can make the edits as smooth and seamless as possible. So when it comes to whether we're going to show you something quick and dirty that'll get it out the door today, or something that's a little more bulletproof for the 12, 24, 36 edits that are coming down the road, we're going to show you the way that is going to put you in a good place when you're a week out from PS&E and somebody says we need to expand that turn lane 100 feet, or we need to make this radius change. That's going to change all kinds of different sheets that way. Those are the workflows we're going to focus on because, frankly, I'll get to that in a minute here. The last thing that we try and do is show you one powerful method. Okay, so I hear from a lot of people there's 1,000 different ways to do something in Civil 3D. That might be true, but from our experience, what usually happens is there's one best way with maybe 3 or 4 options. Okay, if I teach you a way that works in one situation, but 90% of the jobs that you're going to do, that's not the situation, that's not helpful to you. Okay, I would rather teach you one way that maybe takes you a little longer to figure out, maybe doesn't make sense right away, but once you get through that workflow, you'll have that in your toolbox to be able to address the vast majority of projects that you go on to. And you can always, it's way easier to come down in complexity from a workflow you know than try and use a very simple workflow that isn't the right tool and you get stuck in a bad place. Okay, so the workflows that we're going to focus on are going to be using the full power of the software and getting to every nook and cranny and try and show that to you and let you decide, okay, do I need that or can I scale it down in complexity for the job that I have. We've got some training courses, okay? So our training courses have always been taking a chunk of the material and focusing at a specific job type. So if you're somebody doing managing survey data, you've got different needs than somebody who's trying to design corridors, right? Okay, so we're trying to batch the material into chunks that make sense for what you're going to do. Those are still there, and I'll go into the training courses in just a little bit here. I'll also talk about getting into starting up new user training, but the biggest thing that I can tell you is the way that this is different from YouTube or maybe a little more complicated is we don't have somebody sitting with you watching over your shoulder, making sure you're clicking the buttons. Okay, if you've never done something before and you just watch somebody do it, you should have zero expectation that you can just go to production and fly with it. Okay, you got to try it, you got to practice it. Nobody who plays basketball or hockey or does anything is going to be perfect by watching somebody do it on the screen and say, okay, now I know how to do that. You got to go through the examples and actually do them to understand it. Went through that. Formatting. Okay, so writing up instructions for this stuff is a lot harder than it seems it should be. We've gone through many gyrations of this, but I've really tried to focus this update cycle on kind of 2 areas. There's 2 things that we typically talk about. One is picks and clicks, all right? That's go here, 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 and push that button to make it do this thing. And then go on and do the next one, okay? Those are all going to be in gray, and they've all got formatting so that you know whether it's a command line prompt, whether it's just a button you got to hit, whether it's in a dialogue. But this is not going to be in some 9-sentence paragraph long explanations. This is the workflow, boom, boom, boom. When we get into explanations, we're going color, okay? So sometimes we do need to say, hey, this is This is a requirement. You've got to do this to meet our standards. Or, you know what, this is a really good tip that we found. Doing it this way, it puts you in a good spot. Or, man, are you going to be in trouble if you do this thing, because it's going to hose your files up. So that's the kind of stuff that we've reserved the color for. Our requirements are green, warnings are red, tips are yellow, info is blue, and a prereq is orange. So a lot of times on the prereqs, what will happen is somebody will dive into like curb ramps or a beam guard energy absorbing terminal, and they've never touched Civil 3D. Well, the problem is anything in corridor modeling, you've got to know everything up through corridor modeling to dive into that. You can't just step in just because you want to or you feel like it. So we're trying to identify, look, if you're going to go into this topic, you need to know some things before you just try and get onto it. On feedback, I just want to say the reason why we've got the system that we do is because we have a lot of in-house staff and we get a lot of feedback from them, okay? If we were separate from the people doing this work, there's no way we'd understand the daily challenges on projects, because it's amazing how fast that will leave your brain, okay? So we really rely on feedback, and I really hope on this system that people will give us feedback as well. Each one of these topics has a click to send feedback. It's not super fancy. It's going to fire up an email, but the email is going to have the topic embedded right into it. So you can type, you know what, the data set link is broken here. You know, you guys need to fix that. Or this is 8 years old. You need to fix that. I am totally okay with taking whatever kind of feedback anybody has as long as it's specific. Okay? If you give us something that's broken that we can address, we'll address it in some kind of time frame. Might not be in the time frame that you're looking for, but it's how this system is valuable to you and the people that are going to use it the next month, the next year, and so on. So really hope you give us the feedback when stuff is not broken. If you want to tell us, hey, you guys are doing great, that's fine too. That's not typically what we see, but that's our feedback. Getting started, most people are going to be, oh no, I was just there, sorry. New user topics. We get to train courses in just a little bit, but I really want to approach new user training, specifically because most of the people that we have are crazy busy and they're doing 100 things already, and we're not setting aside specific times to do this. That's good and bad, okay? I don't know how many times I've seen somebody take a class because it was convenient and it was available, and then they don't do that thing that the class taught them to do for 9 or 18 months. Well, you might as well have skipped the class because there's no way you're going to remember that. This format is great for having it available to you right when you need it, but there are some things that you need to know getting into it. If you're starting new users training, wait until you have something to do with it. It is going to mean so much more when you step right into, okay, I got to do this for my job or this class or what have you. For session durations, this is not something you can go into, spend 15 minutes and jump in and out and all kinds of stuff. You need to dedicate a good chunk of time. I usually say between 1 to 4 hours. Personally, beyond 4 hours, my mind starts kind of dripping out of my ears. You know, if you get to that point and you're clicking through videos and you're not even listening to people, take a break. That is not helping you out there. One of the other things is that you really got to you want to get through this material in a certain amount of time, okay? So I don't know how many times I've seen somebody start up the material and say, oh, I got busy, or, oh, you know, this thing came up. Yeah, that totally happens. So putting together a plan where you are finishing the new user training in, I usually say about a 6-week session. So maybe early morning is great for you. Maybe Friday afternoons, the office is finally quiet and you can get some time in. You got to dedicate, that 1 to 4 hour chunk. You got to do the exercises, and you will learn stuff and be able to come with questions that are really meaningful when you've got in-person support options out to you. Last thing I got to say, so you got Facebook running on the side, you got texting going, you got emails open and phones, you're sunk. This is not stuff that you can kind of have in the background and really get far with. It takes some focus. So set yourself up right for that. Get rid of the distractions and spend some time. You will be happier in the long run focusing on what's in front of you. Complete the training. Somehow, some way, get through all the training. A lot of times we've got steps and workflows that might not make any sense until you're eight steps farther down. You say, oh, this is why I did that crazy thing they were showing me in step 3. Now I get it. You got to get through the whole workflow, or else it's not gonna mean as much. Have an open mindset. Okay. I'm right now, just to explain, I'm looking at a lot of young faces. We got some great tech college kids in here. Teaching you guys is way easier than teaching older people that are grumpy, okay? Because I'm turning into an old grumpy person. So I'm just telling you to beware. Have an open mindset. You know what? I can get here if I try and give a little effort, okay? Keep the grumpiness out of your brain. You don't want to go there. A lot of times, a lot of our exercises are instructors doing it, and do it with them, okay? Give it a try. You are going to remember so much more if you actually click the buttons. It seems kind of silly when you say it out loud, but you will remember a ton if you actually do it. Trust me. Last thing I've got for people in projects is, this is a tempting thing, but they want to go in and start on their project. They want to maximize their time. They want to train on live data. The only problem is if you screw it up, you just screwed up your live project, okay? Take the time on a exercise data set, something that is not, if it breaks, you don't care, okay? Don't take the chance of breaking your live projects. Don't do it. Training courses is its own area. So these are all the training courses that we have right now. They're all beginner focused. I don't know if we'll ever do a total training course on advanced things, because all of our advanced topics are all over the map, and it doesn't lend itself real awesome to a big chunk of material. You can go in and do 1 or 2 advanced topics. You can do 4 or 5 advanced topics. They're all available to you and what you need to do. So we don't go into hydro design or pipe layout in any of our new topics, but it's there. We don't go into using truck turning templates and auto turn type of functionality in new user, but that's there as well. Okay, so once you get your feet wet and you can navigate the software and you know where the buttons are, all the material is available for you when you need it. For the new user training courses though, I'm just going to go to, let's go to construction administration. This is a pretty typical view that you're going to see on any one of these. We've got a PDF that is literally just a copy of all this stuff. So if you want to print it out, you can go through it. This is a chronological list of how we recommend getting through the material. Okay, so real easy. I can click into one of these, do my deal, click back, and keep going. Now I was just talking about, if you need to set aside a couple of weeks worth of time, that's perfectly fine. One of the things that we added on this iteration was something I'm calling a tracking spreadsheet. That all it is an Excel spreadsheet that you can download and keep your own copy of, and it's got an order, it's got a complete column so that you can either X those off or you can put a date when you completed that one, kind of keep track of where you're at with this stuff if you spread it over some time. There's also a hyperlink so that you can use this as your navigation if you want to. And we've also got the last updated and the video timestamp. I'm going to expand this a little bit. It's not showing up whenever I open these, but we also show you a total video time so that you know how long this training track is going to be. And this will get updated as we update any of our content. So like this one shows it's got 18 hours of video. I usually tell people if you're really doing the training and stuff, it's going to be about 1.5 times to 2 times this. You know, you're going to stop the video, you're going to click through and try and get it to work for yourself, and then you're going to keep running with the video. So this is just a pure video time on all the videos that are in the course. So you know exactly what you're getting into on any one of these. So getting started training courses, I did want to get into roadway design just briefly here. Most of these are fairly shallow, meaning that like in Civil 3D interface, it's all Civil 3D interface. Wow, pretty exciting. Roadway design, however, gets pretty deep, okay? We go through a lot of basic material and focus on WSDOT stuff, but then we get into a ton of specific examples. So how to do maintenance crossovers, how to approach a roundabout if you got one of those. Ton of urban design issues that make designing in an urban setting, which basically means in a lot of scenarios you've got, you know, building face on your outside edges. So you got to design your roadway corridor crowned from there. But you've also got a hard match in to the outside. So that we usually talk about it being an outside-in type of design framework. Lots of little tips and tricks to do that efficiently. So roadway design is super deep. One of the other things is we've got all of our own custom sub-assemblies. We've provided that help out in the interface. So when you insert a sub-assembly, it's got the little help button to get to your stuff. We've also published it out here. So you can navigate through the help on a sub-assembly. Little plug, we also threw out some new sub-assemblies that fixed up some of our problems, added a lot of functionality. And a lot of those, since we're doing them ourselves, we're adding videos right to it. So not only do you have pages and pages of material that you can read for your own enjoyment, but you can watch a video of somebody actually using it and explaining this stuff so that you can be that much farther ahead when you're using our subs on projects. Doing okay on time, but I just want to mention some of these, not necessarily going to them, but Agile and data management. Data management is a huge issue in Civil 3D on our projects. There's a ton of ways that you can put files together and connect them together to get your job done. I will tell you right away, having an entire project in a single DWG file is not a good idea, okay? Don't go there. So we've got a lot of information on how to manage all these different files. Edgeline data is a great one, talking about stuff that is participating not only in your modeling, but also in your plan view sheets, okay? So how do you structure that so that you aren't making those copies of data? Mapping and survey data workflow, that's also another critical one. How to get that information into your system and manage it, manage the updates to it, and keep that data flowing to all the files that it needs. And project data workflow map, I'm just going to click just because it's so insane. This is a 22 by 34 map of a standard project to wallpaper your cubes with. But what we're doing with this is we're really trying to give people a sense of how these files and data objects typically can connect with each other. It's one of the hardest things to just teach and talk about So this is a graphic so that you can kind of see, okay, my topo file is starting over here, and it kind of goes left to right to as you go deeper into your project data. I'm having troubles running my web browser here. There we go. It shows you all the project structure and files and how those files are connecting to each other. Okay. Again, don't go to the default of I'm just going to keep throwing everything into the single file until it dies, because it will die on you, and that's not a happy place to be in. So unfortunately, I can't tell you right now everything's up to date, everything's perfect. Ta-da. What we've got here is a system that we can create and manage data with. It's almost a bigger impact to what we do on the backside supporting this than making it available to you guys. Back in our PDF world, in our previous setup, we might get an update out once a year. We're looking at having our second update of this calendar year out this month. So we can get that information out to you guys much, much faster. Just super briefly, I do want to touch base on, we've got an updates page that is going to tell you, if you're not into this every day, and I don't know why you wouldn't be into it every day, but if you aren't into it every day, at least you've got a timestamp of showing when topics are being updated. So 1:30 this year was our production rollout, so we had a lot of updates. Alignments has been completely redone. Points, contractor data, developing the PSNE package with a specific focus towards our digital data exchange, completely updated. Surfaces is completely updated. Urban design concepts, starting up on AutoCAD fundamentals, and some of the topics related to the project manager new user training are in there. Also, a double plan view best practices workflow has been added in there as well. On 220, we had some known issues with coordinate projection issues. Keith will be touching on top of those. And we're just updating. So if you've been in Civil 3D and you just need to know, oh, what did they update this month or whatever, easy place to find all that info out. What are we working on right now? Really, this is our first big push, well, probably second big push, in updating all of our new user stuff. So Civil 3D interface, AutoCAD basics, plotting is all on the docket, bringing it up to 16 standards. Plat Developer is under refinement right now. We're working on updating that. Roadway Design, new user. I'm hoping to have that through refinement surfaces come out at the end of this month. So the rural intersection design is going to be updated. All the basics are going to be all updated with the new Sub Assemblies and all that new hot stuff. So keep an eye out for that. One of the other things that we've got going on is our planned production. So sheet production is going to be updated as well. And one of the goals that I have for that, that was from an end user in one of the region offices. He was a grumpy old guy, but he was specific about what he was grumpy about. He said, why don't you make your training create the FDM example? I said, you know what, Mike, that's an awesome idea. So we're going to do that this time around. We're going to make the sheet production examples, have the end product of the example in the FDM. We're going to try and provide also the data set so that you can see what it looks like live on the production end, and actually create the examples. And obviously we need to update the example plan sheets as well. That'll be part of the topic too. I'm going to cross my fingers that we get all that done in 2017, but don't hold me to that. Anything on the chat that we got, Matt? Well, I must have said everything perfectly. So any questions in the room, just because I got you in front of me? Yeah.
What's your delivery method on all those examples? If we want to look at whatever we need to brush up on. Is it just basically give me a tutorial, or is it a step-by-step?
Yeah, so the question was, what's going to be the deliverable on the plan sheet examples? So what's going to be out there is there's going to be a training topic that's going to be like title sheet, okay? And that topic is going to take you basically from 0 to a finished title sheet. And there's going to be the text flowing through and the videos that the text is based off of. So if you're pretty good and or you mean like for an update? Like how am I going to know it's updated? Okay.
Just like you're talking
okay.
So you get both, you're giving out both the text version and the video version?
Yep. So there's going to be the text. The videos will be embedded in there, and they'll be basically, the text follows the video. So if you don't want to watch the video or you're pretty sharp on it, you can kind of just read through and do it, but you'll have both of those there. And then the data set, there's going to be a zip attached to that with a data set of how our project would be set up. And what we've gone to is you're going to have, if you're not starting from like 0, if there's a file that you're going to start off with, it's going to end with a -begin. And there's going to be a -end file. So if you mess it up somewhere along the way and you just want to open up a file and take a look at what it should have looked like if you didn't get messed up, it'll be there. If it's a super long workflow, we might have like 2 or 3 steps so that there might be like a begin file and a 1, a 2, a 3, and an end file. So that if you're 2 hours in and you're like, man, I got screwed up, I don't know what's going on, I'm lost, you can at least pick up from, okay, now I got a good file, I can keep following on and hopefully, figure out what I got screwed up in step 1 or 2 on. So text, video, and data is kind of our full Monty, and that's what we try to do on all of our new user trainings. Some of our support topics and some of our extra topics, if you will, might be just text, maybe a PDF thrown in, and not have the video. But for all the new user training, we're trying to provide that video and data so that you can truly do it on your own.
Yeah, one more question. Say you're trying to find, whatever you're trying to find, you can't. Is there going to be, are you thinking about any online support? Like, or is it just going to be an email version of?
So the question is there any plans for providing like live online support? Not right now. I get what you're getting at. Yep. And we've talked about a whole bunch of crazy stuff like forums and, putting stuff on there. It's a resourcing thing. And so right now there's no plans for that.
Emails are pretty quick. So if you do fire an email, that's usually within a half a day, is what I've seen.
Yep.
Where you get a response back, so it's not terrible.
Sometimes
a little more, sometimes a little less.
So Matt's giving us love on the support inbox. Usually it's about a half a day. So just to be clear with everybody, for our in-house staff, our inbox is like full support. For people outside of WisDOT, our consultants or anybody, we totally welcome, if there's problems with the site or if there's problems with our specific templates or sub assemblies or something like that, we totally take that. We don't want to be the source for people learning how to plot or learning how to draw lines and circles. But, we try, especially if you're working on our projects, we're trying to keep everybody, in a productive place. So, all right, with that, I think I've left a little time for Keith. You still there, Keith?
I'm here.
All right, can you grab the screen or do I get a hand off the screen to you?
Well, let's see.
I see you, man.
All right, terrific. Thanks, Eric. Hello, everybody. My name's Keith Sawinski. I'm also with Methods Development here at WisDOT. I deal mostly specifically with Civil 3D. I just have a couple update topics to go through today. We've been getting a lot of queries about Windows 10 in our inbox and where WISDOT is with Windows 10. So I'll give you the rundown on that. We are currently scheduled to begin our Windows 10 deployment here at WISDOT, looking like around August timeframe, give or take. We just completed all of our testing of Civil 3D in Windows 10 here at the beginning of April, and things went well, so that's a good sign. I'll just give you a quick rundown on each version, starting with Civil 3D 2018, which, if you haven't heard, has just been released last couple weeks here. When we come out with Civil 3D 2018 here at WISDOT, which will probably be first quarter or so of 2018, we are only going to be supporting that application in a Windows 10 environment. We figure here at WISDOT we're going to be all in on Windows 10 by that time anyway, so just so you're aware of that. Civil 3D 2016, we test all of WISDOT's customization in Civil 3D 2016, all our macros, reports, sub-assemblies. We even tested some base product functionality, and I'm happy to report that things went well with that. The customization worked well. So any files that you find on our download page on the RDF website, those are fully compatible with Windows 10 and Windows 7 now. There were no issues basically with Civil 3D 2016, and Autodesk is also fully supporting Civil 3D 2016 in Windows 10. Civil 3D 2014, Autodesk is not officially supporting Civil 3D 2014 in Windows 10. However, our testing is showing that we're not going to expect any issues. We're going to continue to use Civil 3D 2014 here at WISDOT. All of our files, reports, macros, customization, all that is compatible with Windows 7 and Windows 10. So we don't expect that you'll have any issues there. One thing to note, internally we've been running some reg files, some registry edits on Civil 3D 2014 startup, and the security settings are a little bit different in Windows 10, and the user would get a prompt asking for an admin login and password to run those reg keys. So you may find that in the consultant world too, that there's some different security settings. Just so you're aware, you might run into that. Civil 3D 2012, we also tested that in Windows 10. We're not using Civil 3D 2012 a whole lot here at WISDOT anymore. Certainly there are a few projects left there. We did find in our testing that the stability of the application seems to have degraded with Windows 10. We were running into issues with the application locking up, unable to open some drawings, things like that. So just so you're aware, we're going to be phasing Civil 3D 2012 out internally. Again, it does run in Windows 10, but the stability is not quite there. We don't recommend doing full-fledged design in that application. The other topic I want to talk about is the coordinate system issue. We've sent a couple emails out on this, I think one in February, and I sent another follow-up in March just to make sure everybody's getting the message. And this is the third time I want to talk about it, just because I think it's important that people understand that Civil 3D has this functionality built into it. So the issue is that if you assign a coordinate system to your survey database, and then you assign a different coordinate system to your DWG file, and you insert points or chains from the database into your drawing, Civil 3D will transform that survey data when it puts it into the DWG file. The same thing occurs if you assign a coordinate system to an XML file that you're going to import into the survey database. If those coordinate systems do not match, a transformation will occur. So we just want to make sure people understand that, because we've seen it pop up in a few spots internally here that folks had their survey data shifted from where it was intended. It can be a little confusing because Civil 3D does come prepackaged with a couple different Wisconsin County Coordinate System versions in the application. And both of them are actually defined very similar, and they're both defined correctly. The issue is really with the geodetic transformation settings in Civil 3D. It treats those two different versions of the same coordinate system differently. And then to make matters even more confusing, here at WISDOT, we introduced our own set of county coordinate systems with the application. There's one for WCCS and one for Whiskers. So it's very important you don't use any of these interchangeably. If you're going to pick one of these coordinate systems, stick with the same one through your whole project. But to prevent the unintended transformations altogether, our recommendation is that you do not even go and assign a coordinate system to your survey database. That will avoid the problem completely. I understand that in our training we do show assigning that coordinates, or we do show assigning a coordinate system to the survey database, but we think it'd be best if people just stop doing that. There's really not a need to do it. So that'll kind of get you out of trouble. So we also want people to go and just take a look at their projects and make sure that they haven't experienced a transformation issue. To do that, we provided a tool in Civil 3D. In Civil 3D 2016, if you go to our WISDOT Tools ribbon, under the WISDOT Reports panel, under Other, there's a tool called Coordinate System Report. That tool is also available in Civil 3D 2014. We don't have the ribbons, the WISDOT ribbons in Civil 3D 2014, so you'll find it in the toolbox. But basically that report will allow you to point the tool right at your Civil 3D project, and it'll report what coordinate system has been assigned to all your DWG files. And then you can go ahead and print that out or export it to a CSV file so you can have that record that you can compare with your survey database. So basically the workflow is to check what coordinate system is assigned to your survey database. Then you run this report and make sure that all your DWG files match that same coordinate system. And if you find a difference, then you need to make sure that you haven't inserted any survey data into that DWG file. If you did insert some survey data, you may have experienced an unintended transformation. One common question we get is, should we just go and unassign or take the coordinate system assignment off of the survey database? Certainly that would be a good route to go, but before you do that, it's very important you check your projects first. If you just go and take that coordinate system assignment off the survey database without checking your project, well then when you go check your project, you don't know what coordinate system you're checking against. So check your project first, and then you can go ahead and remove that coordinate system assignment. So that's all I have for WISDOT update today. I welcome any questions if anybody has any. All right, there's nothing in the chat box, so that is all I have. Eric, do you have any final words?
I do not. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully you have time to see us next quarter.